Welcome back, everyone. Joining us now is our good friend Belinda with some tips for parents on how to deal with social media, which I think a lot of kids are using more often now. And so how do you go about making a social media plan for your kids?
Yeah, I think, summer's here and a lot of kids are at the house, parents are working and your older kids especially are at the house and they stay on the screens. And so it's really important to talk to your kids about what your expectations are, especially those younger ones, but even your teens. And so one of the things that you need to do is just don't feel bad about having this conversation with your kids, because it has to do with their safety, their emotional safety, and sometimes their physical safety.
And so there are a lot of emotions that come with using social media when you're a kid, and sometimes those emotions are negative. And so when it comes to managing those emotions and things that may come with social media, what's the importance of setting those plans in place before something negative occurs?
That is the key, because sometimes if something negative does occur, I mean, there's other things that go along with that. And so being proactive is the key. So one of the things you want to do is talk to your kids about what your expectations are. When are you going to be on, how often are you going to be on screens? What are the time frames? What can you look at on those screens? And then here's, a lot of parents, especially those older teens, go, well, they need their privacy and da-da-da. Yeah. Those phones can be a problem.
Right.
And for a lot of different reasons. And I think we've seen that in different media. I mean, in different news accounts, with kids that are getting cyberbullied, with kids that they have taken their lives because of that, and then the different things that kids can get involved in regards to being trafficked, to being taken advantage of, all of that. And so one of the main rules, and it was in my house, is that I'm going to be able to look at your phones. I'm going to know what apps you're on. I'm going to know, I'm going to be able to look at your phones and see what's going on. But having those conversations to where, that they understand this is coming and this is part of the rules if I'm going to have a phone.
And so what's the importance of having those clear boundaries with your kids of, I'm going to allow you to have access to social media, but I'm also going to be able to monitor it. So that way everyone's on the same page.
That's right. They're on the same page, and then you are aware of what's going on instead of, having to do damage control at the end of it. And, heaven help us that it's not damage control that involves something tragic with your child. And I know that sounds extreme, but I don't think it's extreme anymore, because people are warriors behind a screen. They will say things and put things out there that they would not do if they were out in public, to where people could see them face to face. And so we have to keep that in mind.
Perfect. And so we appreciate you being here with us today. Before we go, is there like a certain age range of, that you should really be having these conversations before they get access to social media?
I think, especially those younger kids. I mean, you need to definitely know what they're looking at with those younger kids, because they can stumble into things that can be things that are not for those young children at all. But I think that, if your child is going to have a phone or a tablet, and I think that those conversations should happen prior to giving them access to that phone or that tablet. Set down the ground rules. And here's the one thing, is that if you make the ground rules, stick to them. Don't get kind of wishy-washy about them. If it's like, look, we're going to do screens for 2 hours a day, and it's going to be when I'm in the home, then that's your rule. But those are going to be the rules that you'll negotiate with your kids and that you'll set up between all of y'all.
Well, Belinda, thank you for being here with us today. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
We have so much more coming up on Studio 4, and we have a very fun special guest coming up.